So back here on Saturday, June 20th, it's split day. We're going to be going through our weaker colonies that aren't going to be making us any honey and therefore not making us much of a profit this year, and splitting them down into overwintering nucs. It's a little bit late in the year, but they should be able to build up perfectly fine. The reason why we didn't do it earlier in the year is because we just didn't have the population to make the amount of splits that we wanted to make. The reason why we do splits is because for, again, expansion and also overwintering purposes, because you're more likely to have a colony survive if you go in with 3 colonies than if you go in with 1. So we're going to go into the colonies that have plenty of brood but aren't making us honey and split them down super hard. Probably just leave them with the queen, 2 frames of brood, frame of food, and everything else is going to get divided up amongst all these nucleus setups that you can see. It's a fairly straightforward process, but it works out quite well. We're basically copying Mike Palmer's from Vermont strategy with a slight twist on it. We'll do our splits, let them sit queenless for maybe an hour or so, and then we'll go through and drop queen cells into them, and we'll come back later, a couple weeks from now, and check to see if they were accepted. So we've gone through our apiary at this point and identified our weakest, I shouldn't say weakest, but the colonies that haven't produced a honey crop for us, or have produced very little honey. The ones that have produced very little are going to be the last ones that we split if we still need brood, but we're going to start with the ones that haven't produced any honey because they haven't produced a profit for us. Therefore, the only way for us to do anything, or to get anything out of them this year, is to make splits. So we're going to go in, take this top box off, haul it over to where we're doing our splits, split out of it, checking for the queen as we go. The queen's marked, so she's going to be really easy to find. Actually, all these queens are marked. And then if we find her, we'll move her, the frame of brood that she's on, and a frame of food, maybe a second frame of brood, over into this box here, which will be set off to the side. After we have stripped this box down to nothing, we'll come back and pull this box off, and set the box that hopefully at that point has the queen in it, back into position where this orange box is, put the lid on it, and walk away. The queen will be fine here because she's going to be catching all the foragers that'll be coming back. She'll have the brood that she needs, and then we will go through, again, split everything else up between our nucs, and then requeen them, or I shouldn't say requeen, we'll add a queen cell. And also we'll come back and drop a queen cell into this one too. That way we have turnover of genetics, because these are packaged queens from Georgia, and we are in central Pennsylvania, and we're not confident in their ability to handle our winters. So we'll drop a queen cell in there and let the bees naturally requeen them. Hopefully not too many stings today. We're going to be doing some pretty invasive stuff though, so we'll see. Let's set this box over here where I can get to it easy. Nice full box of these. Perfect. What we're doing today, they're a lot more built up than they were last week. Must have been a nice brood hatch. And one reason to be moving the boxes away is that any foragers in here will fly out and go back to here instead of hanging around where we're doing our splits. Frame, check what it is, which is the food frame. Look for a marked queen. She isn't in here. Move it into the box and repeat. Frame. There's really not much on this one. Some food.
That can be a 3rd frame in a hive.
Stick it in here for the time being. There's some honey in there. We might just call it a food frame if we find a nice frame that's a good mix between brood and food. Nice frame of brood. Got some eggs. Got some cat brood. Looking really nice. No sign of a queen. The way these bees are sounding, I'm thinking the queen's in here. They should have noticed if they're queenless by now. Drone bird on this one. That'll be fine. A lot of drone bird actually. I might just give this one to the next door neighbor because it's mixed with food and drones.
Call it a food frame.
Call it a food frame.
Those two together will count as a food frame.
Yep. Should be getting into the bird nest core now.
There's the queen on this side.
Really? Sure enough, there she is. We'll move this frame over. That might be the only frame I get. That's food and cat bird. I might give them another one. Oh yeah, you can hear these guys already know they're queenless. Just gonna stick the lid on them so they don't start panicking too much. That makes the rest of our inspection easy. I just have to look to see what's on the frame. I have to look to see if the queen's there.
That's a nice frame right there.
Nice frame of capped brood.
So those two are done.
Basically, well, are we doing single frames or are we doing...
Oh, you want two frames, yeah.
This one over here is a bit of a mess. Big old frame of, big old stick out of comb because bees don't care how deep they draw food or honey cells, so they sometimes go a little crazy if you leave them space. So that's frame of brood, frame of food.
Give one brood, one food in each one.
Is that how we're going to be doing splits?
No, I want 2 frames of brood in
I
there.
was gonna say, I was thinking we were talking about doing
I
2.
was mistaken. We do 2 frames of brood, 1 frame of food. Keep them nice and strong.
Brood. Brood and bees. A lot of drone brood, but I'm thinking they'll be fine. Push these all together for now. We'll come back after we're all said and done and give them queen cell. What are we looking at here? Another frame that's thrown out real fat. Brood and food. Brood and food. I'm almost going to stick this one in a different box. That's a pretty good frame there. The reason why they have these edges drawn out is that they started drawing the fat honeycomb out before they completely drew out these frames. So they then impinged on these guys' space. That's bees and eggs. That'll be good for this one here.
We're not too picky with what we're doing here. We're trying to get bees, brood, and food. Ideally 2 frames of brood in there, but we're not so picky.
With how nice those 2 frames of cat brood were, I'm not concerned about it in the least.
They have plenty of time to build up here.
We've done splits in the middle of July and they were fine for overwintering. In fact, some of those are currently packing honey away, so I mean they're not super huge, but they come through all right. That one is done.
Rinse and repeat for 8 more colonies.
So at this point, we've done all of our splits. I think we got 30 of them. Now we're going through and placing queen cells into the splits and also into the parent colonies because we want those requeened. Some of them we never found the queens in and we just want to make sure that those don't go hopelessly queenless. So it's a fairly straightforward process. You just pop the cells off and set them in and come back 3 weeks later and hope and pray they're in there laying. It's a fairly simple matter of just twisting them a little bit to get them to free up. Making sure they stay upright the whole time. You don't want to damage the pupating queen. And then set them in there. This frame spread a little bit too far. I got it. There we go.
Just like that.
And then on to the next one. So that was that. We didn't take too long of a video because we were trying to move through it quickly because we have a weather front rolling in here this afternoon. We took 6 double deep colonies and split 30 nukes out of them, leaving the 6 existing colonies in their place. So we turned 6 into 36. It remains to be seen how many of them will requeen properly and continue going. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Yeah, went pretty well. Beautiful day to do it. Glad to be done though.